All right, I'm going to call the July 21st, 2026 Committee of the Whole to order. First on the agenda is roll call. Clerk.
Commissioner Morales, Commissioner Ray, Chair Stubbs, Vice Chair Taylor,
Here.
Commissioner Wheeler, here. Commissioner DeLue,
Here.
Commissioner Gisler,
Here.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, Commissioner Mazer. 5 present.
All right, thank you very much. And we've got Commissioner Mazer was not feeling well. Commissioner Pro Tem, Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler informed us at the last meeting that he'd be out of town. And Commissioner Monteith called me, and Chair Ray, or not Chair Ray, Chair Stubbs called me as well. So they're not going to be here. I think Commissioner Morales will be here later. Next up is public comment. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the board. Please give us your name, where you're from. You have up to 3 minutes, and please try to be respectful. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Chandra Kinney. I'm here representing the Kalamazoo Conservation District, here with some countywide natural resource updates. First on my list, our conservation technicians have been working with landowners to gain funding for conservation practices being implemented on private lands within our county. And thus far, this year, we have obligated $610,000 of federal dollars of cost share reimbursement into Kalamazoo County. We have also been expanding some of our MDARD programming, and they are now offering some new soil health management services that will be available as of now, including soil health testing and a long-term soil health management plan to ensure better growth. Next up on my list revolves around waste management. Last month, we did co-host the 3rd annual Kalamazoo River Cleanup. With this collaboration, we had many partners across the county, and we worked to remove 2.5 tons of waste from the Kalamazoo watershed. Next up on waste removal, we did finish our 2nd scrap tire recycling event of the year. Currently, we do have 4 scheduled for the year, and thus far, we have already been exceeding our expectations. I've recycled more than 3,000 tires this year. And last on my list is at the end of this month, we will be launching the Kalamazoo County Conservation Needs Assessment Survey. So I will bring this to the board and ask all municipalities, organizations, anybody who lives, works, or plays in this space, please fill out this survey and ensure that you are contributing your voice into how the Kalamazoo Conservation District should grow over the next 5 years to ensure we're growing based off of community need. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Shauna Espinoza. So I came to the board to ask you guys to look at and endorse the ESP Bill of Rights, which is for support staff for like your bus drivers, your paras, your secretaries. So this is something that I'm working with the MEA. We're asking for a thriving wage, good health care, good retirement, a safe place to work, PDs, you know, the stuff that support staff really don't get and respect. So I'm asking if the board as a whole and individually can endorse. This will help us gain support so we can be able to bring this to legislative and get this into law. I believe Monteith and Jen have already endorsed it a while ago, maybe even Tammy. But I'm asking if you guys could, as a whole, I have things so you guys can look at it and let me know maybe before or after the election. And then also, these are postcards. If you guys look over it and if you guys can put a stamp on it and send it to somebody, that would be great. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members wishing to address the board? Sheriff Fuller. Hello, board. Thank you very much for this 3 minutes. I wanted to make sure the community heard from the sheriff the situation with our deputy that was injured last Friday. He was assaulted and shot in his leg. What we want everyone to understand is that throughout the entire event, all of the law enforcement, the fire, the EMS came together throughout this entire area to help end the situation as quickly as possible and as safely as possible. Great response. At the same time, I say thank you to the community and thank you to this board and all those individuals who have reached out and personally offered their prayers and support. That's huge. It's gone a long way. I'm happy to tell you that yesterday, and this is a significant injury that the deputy has suffered, but after surgery and the initial care, that person's been released to go home to continue their care through that process. It is a significant injury, and it's going to take a while, and we want everybody to understand that your support and your thoughts and prayers, of course, are greatly appreciated, but at the same time, I want and I hope everybody can just understand law enforcement day in and day out, fire, EMS, day in and day out. They go out, they put on their uniforms, they put on their badges, they put on whatever gear that group of people carry with them. And they do a job, not for the money, but for the community. And so that's what we had the other day is just another prime example of the community coming together, working hard to solve a problem, to save lives, and to make sure that at the end of the day, we were all able to go home as safe as possible. I just want to say thank you for that. There'll be more updates as we go along. And of course, the suspect in this case was apprehended, and the possible threat to the community was ended fairly quickly. So again, thank you to all these partners. There's so many partners that I've started to try and thank them and help them understand how much we appreciate this. We're still working on the list because I'll find out that so-and-so police agency did this part, or the EMS were here and ready because they heard what was going on. Those are great things to know. But in the end of it, it was a full community effort, and the suspect was taken into custody, and the deputy was able to go to the hospital and have a recovery in motion. So thank you very much. Thank you, Sheriff, for all you do. And thank the officers, every officer, for what they do from this board. We very much appreciate your service. Is there any other members wishing to address the board? Dr. Callan, is there anybody online?
I do not believe so. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Well, that means, Ryan, you're up. Review of accounts payable and payroll disbursements.
Vice Chair, Commissioners. This evening, we have a accounts payable claims list totaling $6,558,975.09 is presented for review. Of this total, the Board of Commissioners asked to approve claims totaling $6,446,107.82. Payroll disbursements totaling $4,588,761.76 are presented for the July 17th general payroll. With that said, we welcome any questions from the Board of Commissioners at this time.
Any questions from commissioners? Okay. No, while I have you here, did you send me? I must have missed it, or I probably did miss it. But the monthly financial reports. I know we weren't going to put that in this month, but then
those are under communications this evening.
Oh, communications. Yes. That's why.
But definitely check them out. They're the most fantastic reports our team has put together year to date.
Thank you. I look forward to looking at it in between meetings. Apologize for not seeing that.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Tyler White, Chief Deputy Treasurer.
Thank you. So as of June 30th, the county's investment portfolio had a par value balance of $189,393,531.27 and a market value of $188,104,345.26. There's a large increase in the value of our portfolio from May to June. That stems from investment of the proceeds of the youth sports facility bond that will be paid out in installments as construction is completed. The mark-to-market variance between our par and market values is $1,289,186.01. It's a $621,000 increase from May. As a reminder, that only impacts the county's bottom line if we were to liquidate our portfolio. Our strategies hold assets until maturity to avoid any realized losses. For the month of June, our portfolio earned $559,865.70 on an average daily balance of $178,763,554.77. It's an effective rate of return on the county's investments of 3.81%. It's inclusive of all of our realized gains and losses, sales, maturities, as well as amortization of premiums and discounts. Of the $559,000, $239,114 relates to the general fund and budget stabilization investment pools. For the year to date, our portfolio has earned $3,195,165.30 on an average daily balance of $167,361,086.31. Our year-to-date return on investments is 3.85%, which is also inclusive of all the realized gains, losses, sales, maturities. And of the $3.1 million that we've earned, the general fund share is $1,664,334.32. If we assume that the next 6 months are similar to the last 6 months, we're on track to earn about $6.4 million for the year. Now for the inflation news. So inflation over the last 12 months was 3.5%, down from 4.2 in May, which is lower than our 3.81 return on investments. We're back to experiencing net gains in our purchasing power. We had a 0.31% gain in purchasing power. Inflation is spread across the following categories. Food is up 3%. Energy commodities or fuel is up 27.1%. Energy services or utilities is up 3.9%, of which electricity is up 4%, gas is up 3%, shelter is up 3.3%, transportation services up 3.4%, medical services up 2.9%, and other commodities, vehicles, apparel, medical commodities up 0.8%. So the good news front is that we had a 0.7% decrease in the 12-month inflation from May to June. Though the war in Iran now stepping back up, we expect that inflation is going to rise with it. The hope is that cooler heads prevail and there is still some sort of agreement to be made. The biggest change from month to month was the energy subset of our inflation. It went from a 40-some-odd% increase to 27%, and since hostilities have resumed, that's gone right back up again. AAA's gas prices have shown that as of this time last month, national average is about $4 a gallon. Now it's about $4.12. So we'll see that borne out in the data. With that said, consumer core prices, all of our prices minus food and energy, because they're volatile, did not change from May to June. So we've seen a 0.6% increase in the core pricing since March, suggesting some of our businesses are still holding on and not pushing cost increases onto the consumer, which is a good sign that we did not see that change. With all of that, though we have had decreases in gasoline, even if peace were to come about today, it will still take time to get the oil market back in normal straits, just based on the time it would take to rebuild infrastructure, get the oil market back up to what it was pre-war levels. So we expect to see higher oil prices at least through the end of the year into 2027. As always, we'll continue to monitor, keep the board updated. I'd be happy to take questions.
Questions from commissioners? Just really quick, I've noticed that traditionally it was about 60% when you were rule of thumb when you were trying to when I was always trying to imply the interest income associated with the general fund. That percentage dropped. Is that because of the youth sports complex center and the interest earned from that money would go and that dropped that percentage?
Yes, sir. So the large increase in our par and market values, all of that was youth sports facility. It was over $40 million invested into that. We have been continuing to draw down on general fund to pay for ongoing expenses, but now we have property tax collections rolling in again. Now that July 1st has passed, we're getting those payments in from our local units. We'll be refilling our investment pools and we'll be seeing that tick up with the general fund, but I wouldn't expect that 60% to hold, at least going forward, because we've got the 40 million in the youth sports facility. So a big chunk of that is going to be flowing into that.
Any other questions? You're off the hook. All right. I do want to make one change to the agenda. Corporate Counsel has, during our closed session, for the negotiation of a CBA with the Sergeants Association, and I don't believe we had listed Sergeant. We had closed session with Sergeants Association, but CBA of Sergeants Association? Collective bargaining agreement. I was pretty sure it wasn't a community benefit. So collective bargaining agreement with the Sergeants Association. All right. Next, we have our comprehensive financial audit report. Peter Wolderman.
There you go. So you should be able to use that. I'm going to move this so you can see, but there we go. Sorry.
Okay, thank you for having me. I'm going to briefly walk you through the audit report. I want to first start out by saying a special thanks to Ryan and Phil for another successful audit and accommodating all our requests as part of the audit. We'll get into our audit opinion. This is an unmodified opinion we rendered on the financial statements. It's a clean opinion. What that means is your financial statements are materially correct for all respective purposes, and it's useful in making decisions. The report is quite lengthy, almost over 250 pages. We'll highlight the areas of interest. So if I was going to read the report, I would focus on the transmittal letter, pages 3 to 9. It focuses on the profile of the government, the financial conditions and factors, along with any awards and acknowledgements that you may have received over the previous audit. The next area is management's discussion and analysis. This actually comes from management. We assist with writing it, but most of the wording comes from management. Provides a good summary of the financials, a good year-over-year comparison of the governmental and business type activities, along with analysis of the general fund and each major fund. Lastly, if you're looking for a very brief summary, it's our summary of auditors' results. This is part of the single audit. It provides an overview of the financial statements, our opinion that was rendered, talks about the federal awards, and which programs we audited as major programs this year. And then we'll get into the general fund. Total fund balance for the general fund at December 31st, 2025 was $40,887,957. Of that, $3 million is restricted for budget stabilization. $3.3 million is committed for various programs based on the funding it receives, leaving unassigned fund balance at $34,068,735, which is available for spending and use. The actual change in fund balance was an increase of $4,964,860. Your final budgeted change in fund balance, you actually budgeted for a decrease of $6,488,544. Again, actual results came in at a positive, just shy of 5 million there, the 4,964,000.
Can I, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Before I forget this, the budgeted decrease, that was based on the kind of the ratio with our property tax collection, with some of it going to CIP and also our investment income, some of it going to CIP, or no? Or was that just a straight up, did we budget 2026 with it using that amount of money from unrestricted reserves or something?
So if we're looking at the expenditures of the government, I have written down here, general government was under budget by 1,926,506. Primarily due to not using $995,800 related to projected salary pool shortfall. Public safety was under budget by 1,263,223. Just cautious spending by the sheriff's department. And then the biggest variance, transfers out, was under budget by 3,763,552. Certain programs did not need as much of the general fund support than initially planned. So that would be transfers to other funds.
Within the county?
Yes. Further general fund analysis. So what most boards would want to know is the balance as a percentage of expenditures and transfers out. Total fund balance represents 44.9% of annual general fund expenditures and transfers out, which is roughly 5.4 months. Unassigned fund balance, which is available for general spending, represents 37.4% of annual expenditures and transfers out, which is about 4.5 months. So as cash flows change throughout the year with property taxes coming in, the county can operate for about 4.5 months. One of the things I like to point out is the long-term debt of the county. So this is for the governmental activities. You can see 77.9 million in outstanding bonds. There were no issuances in 2025, and 3.2 million of bonds was repaid in 2025. That does not include the interest piece of the bonds. And then the schedule to the right there shows your upcoming payments, principal and interest. In 2026, looks like 3,220,000 in principal and just over 2.1 million in interest. So the county's debt remains manageable for all intensive purposes. And then if there's any questions, I can try and answer those now.
Commissioner Gissler.
Thank you, John. Question I have, I guess, is, are we still being overly cautious? We decided not to be quite as cautious as we have been, and it looks like we're still, for one way or another, being overly cautious. Or did that just happen?
I think it may have just happened based on the circumstances of 2025.
Okay. I have one other question, and that has to do with the bonds that we're paying on. Do we still earn a AA+ bond rating?
That's a good question. I believe you did. I can check the report here quick a second. You would actually find that in management's discussion and analysis towards towards the back. Yes, AA+ rating.
Thank you.
Okay, I've got a couple quick ones. One of them is just a kind of a comment on the probably the administrative section. It's probably for you, Ryan. The Kalamazoo Township Fire Station, you've got $15 million for that. They're doing $45 million for the full campus, and the fire station was 10.5. That was just on the financial conditions factor, which would be in the very first part of it that we do. I think I'm trying to find the page. It's just that's minor. But I did have a couple questions. One was about the Keys to Kalamazoo donation. I thought that would have been under our restricted, correct? Or is that non-restricted?
We deemed it, Vice Chair, as a fund that we created solely specifically for the donation. So by default, in our eyes, in conjunction with the auditor support, that fund may only be used for the intentions of which it was received. And therefore, we may have not classified it as a restricted fund balance, but due to the nature of the fund, it is restricted essentially as it is its own separate fund as well as its own separate bank accounts.
Okay.
So that's how we deem that.
Okay, I just saw, I'm,
Yeah.
looking from a 50,000 foot level and I saw the unrestricted portion of it. So that'll be moved over. And then the last comments I have was the one with there were two of them actually, the financial statements that were the repeating ones. What do you think that we will be, or what do we have to do us internally to make sure that they're not reoccurring next year in the audit statements? It says here about making sure that we have year-end accurate and reporting year-end, and we're not making adjustments during the audit field work. I'll be honest with you, I don't know everything what that means. But I'm just saying, I know that they were repeat findings, and I was just wondering, how do we stop or what are we going to do internally to stop the repeat findings?
So our recommendation is that you're reviewing and reconciling, your balance sheet, making sure that it's accurate before it comes to us. So that way, if we won't identify anything. What stems as a material audit adjustment is based on dollar amount from thresholds we set.
Okay.
So something less significant would not be an issue. It's just based on how much we adjusted.
All right, thank you. Are there any other commissioners or questions from commissioners? Commissioner Kessler.
Yes, nice job. I really appreciate it. Not that I understood all of it, but most of it, I think. And I do have a question for you, and I try to ask this of every presentation like this, highly financial and that sort of thing. You don't happen to be an actuary, do you?
I am not.
Excellent. Because my definition of an actuary, I love to roll out. An actuary is someone that wanted to be an accountant but didn't have the personality.
No, it's levity is good. Any other comments from commissioners? Oh, Administrator Keller.
Thank you, Chair. And I just wanted to comment on your question about the Texas fire station. So, Kalamazoo Township Fire Station, rather. It's on Texel Drive. That's why I said Texas. But initially in 2025, this report's on 2025 activity. And when I draft that report, it's based on 2025 numbers. And at the time when they announced that fire station, it didn't contemplate. I think for a couple of things, I think one, we're mixing up the building, the combined police station township hall. That is a $45 million project. This project on Texel Drive is a $15 million fire station. It's right off Gull Road. So it doesn't contemplate the $45 million project yet because that's 2026 activity, if that makes sense. This is 2025.
Thank you. That makes sense. Director Post.
Vice Chair, if I may just respond to your question as well as to Commissioner Gissler's. First, Commissioner Gissler's in order. Commissioner Gissler, just to kind of give a little bit more meat on the bone in terms of your question with being conservative in Kalamazoo County. As we close the audit in 2024, there was a $12 million carryover. As we close the audit in 2025, there was just under a $5 million carryover. So I want to emphasize the fact that we cut that down with practices that we developed internally with the budget team. Separately for Vice Chair Taylor's comment, about how we can address these internally so you have that better understanding, is we have a newly restructured finance department. We have a lead for audit and a lead for budget. As we continue to develop that structure, we continue to strengthen our practices in terms of what worked well, great, keep doing it, but what can we show improvement in? This is a situation here where we have strengthened already our practices, and we've already prepared for the next year's audit. And we do expect to address this for the 2026 audit. Thank you.
And I would be remiss if I didn't also help to answer Commissioner Gissler's question that, but he said 12 million before that it was 14, and said like we are moving in the right direction. Absolutely. On the carryover.
Oh, Ryan stepped away. I thought you were going to tell me that you're an actuary.
You'll never get invited to John's Christmas party if you do. I think we're all set, unless there's any other questions. I don't see any.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is discussion regarding a pilot hair care service program for residents lodged at the Kalamazoo County Jail. Dr. Catlin.
All right, thank you, Chair and Commissioners. This evening, we have a proposal before you and then an action item tonight if you desire to move it forward, to provide access to basic grooming services, to promote dignity of individuals while in county custody, and to support the orderly administration of justice. So we talked about this a couple of meetings ago and have been working with the Kalamazoo County Defender's Office as well as the Sheriff's Office to bring something to you to consider. We also do have some members of the Sheriff's Office here if there's very specific questions about the jail, and then also Rachel, who's the Chief Defender of the KCDI for us. So if there's questions from the Defender's Office. What we anticipate is that based on historical utilization of services prior to COVID, anticipate about 17 services would be performed a month for an average of $65 per service at approximately $13,260 per year. Obviously being being at the midpoint rather of this year, we'd seek around $6,500 or so to bring that program to fruition. And this would be for services to accommodate all folks lodged at the jail. And so I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. And we have other experts here if there's any specific questions to the operation at the Defender's Office or at the Sheriff's Office. Thank you.
Questions from commissioners? Commissioner Wheeler.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have a question, but I just think that this is a fantastic program that I think we should all vote yes for.
Certainly a drop in the bucket. I mean, $6,000 and then $13,000. We spend more than that on carpet. So, any other commissioners? No, I think you're good. We're moving right along here. Next is a discussion regarding direction to the HR director concerning anti-obesity GLP-1 coverage. Director Brown.
Is it on? Yeah, all right. Good evening, commissioners and colleagues. Nice to see you. I'm coming to you tonight to look for guidance from you as we are working on finalizing recommendations for the healthcare plan and for 2027 for the county employees. One of the issues that has been before us over the past couple of years is the increasing costs of the GLP-1 medications that are prescribed specifically for anti-obesity. And I want to start out by just making sure we're really clear what we're talking about with that is GLP-1s are used for multiple purposes. A lot of times they are prescribed for folks who are dealing with diabetes or hypertension. That's not what we're looking at right now. There's also a whole class of drugs that are prescribed almost exclusively for anti-obesity to help people lose weight. They have been very effective. They're very popular. You see them all over TV with all the commercials, but they're also very expensive. And so this is one of the driving costs of why our premiums have been increasing at such a fast rate. I believe that you were provided with a little cheat sheet of some quick facts and figures, just because I'm going to be giving you a lot of numbers. And if you're like me, it's hard to get those just through the air. So that's why you can look at them too. So I wanted to just kind of call attention to how we got to the point of asking for this recommendation here is that starting in 2023, which is where my numbers start, we had 115 folks using these prescriptions for about $625,000 a year to the county's plan. You can look at that little chart there where it says the cost of the plan. You see it went up 100% in 24 and then up another 22% in 2025. So we are now over $1.5 million a year being spent simply on the healthcare plan's costs for the anti-obesity GLP-1s. And if you're familiar with how we figure out the rates for our employees and for the county of what our illustrative rates are for our plan, it is the sum total of all the costs to the plan sort of divided out across all the people who are in the plan. So when we add 1.5 million to the total spend, that gets figured out across everyone in the county, every employee's premium that they pay, as well as the cost to the county's plan itself. So right now that 1.5 million is 20% of our total prescription spend for all prescriptions on our health plan. And then also what we have seen is that plan providers like our administrator, Blue Cross Blue Shield, have dropped this coverage from their standard plans a few years ago. And many counties and other large employers that are self-funded like we are have also chosen to not cover these prescriptions for anti-obesity only. And so you see that we're 520% over the benchmarks that we use to kind of compare our coverage and how we're coming in. 520% is a big difference. So I think that you can see how we got to bringing this question to you. So then if you look at the little chart I have below there, it talks a little bit about the the premium costs for our employees and what the real impact is. And these are just estimated rates, but we asked our insurance broker to let us know, looking at 2027, where do they predict our insurance rates are going to come in based on our spend so far in 26 and the patterns from 2025. And then how would that be changed if we did eliminate coverage for anti-obesity GLP-1s? And so to shorthand it all the way to the far right column of that green and blue there, you'll see that per paycheck for our employees, it's roughly twice as much of an increase. The increase is twice as much if we keep the GLP-1s than if we don't. If we keep the GLP-1 coverage, it will go up about 11.7% for our plan, which honestly is still beating the industry standard for this year. So that's good news. But if we don't increase them, then we can keep that down to 5.7%, which is really beating the industry standards right now that are in the 12 to 15% range. You might remember that for our 2026 plan, we had a double-digit increase around 19%. So this would be welcome by our staff. And that kind of goes to where I end this document here with some statistics on it is the employee sentiment. You can imagine this is a really hot button issue. There are strong feelings all across the board. And so it's hard to figure out what is it that the employees want. And to be honest, they don't all want the same thing. There are folks who shared with us through the employee benefits survey that they are using these medications for anti-obesity and that has been life-changing for them, that has improved their overall health. And that is a true story of our staff. We also have stories from our staff of people who feel frustrated that the only thing available for the county right now is a prescription solution when we don't have other gym memberships or wellness plans that might be more supportive. And folks who feel like the cost of health insurance is a real burden on their family, and knowing that there are folks who are maybe taking more than their share out of that plan and costing them money out of their check is something that frustrates them. And so they've lifted up in our plan, in our benefits survey that we did this year, we actually asked the question. We kind of gave a lot of the same information I just gave you and asked folks, based on that, how much do you agree with the statement that the county should continue to cover these medications? And you can see the split there. It does look like we've got about 45% or so that are in favor of continuing coverage and about 32% who are in favor of not continuing coverage or who disagree with the statement that we should. And then there's a solid 23.5% of people in the middle who really felt torn about this. I've gone through and reviewed about 300 comments that came along with this question. And I would say there is some misunderstanding in here for folks who are concerned we would be eliminating GLP-1s for folks who need them for diabetes or other medications. So that's a handful of the responses that I think may have swayed which end they would have been on if they'd understood the question fully. It was complicated to ask it and make sure everyone understood. But what we really see is a lot of folks who feel like they think there should be better options and that we should do more to support employees losing weight beyond just prescriptions or maybe instead of prescriptions. And then I'll also point to the fact that 39.95% of our employees responded that the cost of premiums is the most important thing for them about the insurance plan. And so while those two, they may have folks who are saying the premium is the most important thing to me, but I also think you should keep covering this. That's fair. It's a really complicated question, and not every employee on the benefits survey is able to look at every bit of detail. But here in the HR department, what we've been doing is working with our insurance broker and looking at this over the past year and a half since I've been here, and we've seen these costs just continue to skyrocket. At the same time, we're also seeing that these medications are becoming more available on the private market without insurance at cheaper prices, which also adds to the confusion. You may have seen ads where you can get $139 a month to get a prescription for a GLP-1, but that is specifically through a discount program through the medication company, the pharmaceutical company. That's not the charge that they send to the insurance when we put it through. So although those rates are out there and they're available to folks, they're not how it gets billed through the plan. We brought this question to our very newly formed Kalamazoo Healthcare Coalition. This is a coalition of members from our different bargaining units as well as from our general employees. And they met for the first time this year to review and give a recommendation to you all about what we should do with the health plan. And I'll have that full recommendation for you in short order. But tonight I do want to bring to you that when they met, they did reach consensus on recommending that we do eliminate GLP-1 coverage for anti-obesity. And so that came from the voice of our bargaining units as well. So all of that is to say, this is a tough question. Whatever choice we make, it's going to really impact employees. And so it is worth you all discussing it as well. I wanted to give you the information needed and try to help answer any questions I can so that we can start making plans now. The reason I'm bringing this to you separately from the rest of our healthcare recommendations that will be part of the budget process is because we know people are on these medications and we want to give them as much notice as we can if there's going to be a change so they can plan for it.
Quick question. Yeah, I noticed the survey. Have you thought about maybe doing a survey asking employees whether or not they continued GLP-1 coverage, or we'd give every employee $1,500? That's the same thing.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I think that after I got the results, I've thought about how there might be ways to try to break this question apart into different pieces. And that would be one of the questions we can ask, but I haven't put that together or done that ask yet.
Okay. Well, I'll just say to this board, I think one of the craziest things that we do as a county is offer GLP-1s for non-diabetic, non-health related issues. It's costing us $1.5 million a year. We could do so much more with that, with benefits to our employees. And we're looking at, I mean, it's 20% of all prescription drug spends are for people that are using this for cosmetic reasons, not for health related reasons. So that's my point. I think that we are the only self-insured. Am I correct in this in the Midwest?
I think there were two. I apologize. I tried to get that number from our broker today. I had heard it in meetings, but I didn't have it written down. I think they said there's two in the state where
there was one UAW bargaining group. I think that was the top level executives that kept it. But other than that, I think Kalamazoo County is one of the only ones in the Midwest that still offer this. So any thoughts from commissioners? Commissioner Kissling.
Thank you, John. Thanks for the presentation and thanks for the handout too. I tried to just listen to you and I actually comprehended most of what you had to say, but I'm going to really be happy to take that home and look at it. Refresh my memory. What other options either do we have for employees, gym memberships you mentioned, that sort of thing?
Sure.
Or is that would be an add-on, maybe replacing the GLP-1s?
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. I realized that was one of the things I meant to mention and I skipped right over was what we're considering in terms of supplementing if these medications go away. So to first answer your question, currently there's not any gym stipend or wellness stipend financial benefit that we have offered to our employees. That is something we have talked about in the past. And quite honestly, my first year when we were looking at the plan here last year for 2026, it really wasn't on the table because we had such incredibly high costs in our pharmacy spend. And so we didn't feel like there was funding available to recommend to do something else. Taking these GLP-1s out will free up money in the budget and could be a way for us to look at exploring an option like wellness stipends or some sort of program like that. At the same time, some other things we're looking at that are much easier to put into place and less financially impactful are a couple of pieces. We have our Pine Rest EAP and our Marathon Health Clinic. You all hear me talk about that every time I'm up here, but they both offer nutrition services. They both offer mental health services, and obesity is linked in many cases with mental health. And so being able to have a life coach or a counselor who's able to help you deal with some of the other underlying issues that may be leading to your struggles with weight from the mental side, those are both still there and available to our employees. We also have our HSA, health savings account, and FSA, flex spending accounts, which are available, which offer a tax advantage to folks. These medications would be qualified purchases through those plans, so you can put tax-free money aside, which offers you an additional discount on those discounted rates we see on TV. We also noticed and took note of the fact that one of the groups we hear from who are utilizing the GLP-1s are folks who are facing menopause and perimenopause, where weight loss becomes even more difficult for women. And so we are also looking at partnering with an organization that works with Blue Cross Blue Shield that offers actually sort of concierge service for people going through perimenopause, menopause, and also for male population who are facing hormonal changes in later life as well. They offer things like coaching, virtual care, gamified apps, things like that that kind of help you with nutrition and plans for dealing with some of those changes, which could help support folks as well. And then lastly, there's a program called Teledoc, and these will all be part of our recommendations in our healthcare recommendation to you. But Teledoc is a program which works by using technology to have, you might have a scale or a blood pressure monitor that's at home that's virtually connected through cell towers to your provider team. And you're able to get real-time feedback and check-ins throughout your work with that Teledoc program. And that's meant to support weight loss as well as pre-diabetes management to try to keep people from needing to go on to diabetic treatment if their weight or their blood sugars continue to rise. So those are some of the programs we are exploring already as part of our health plan. But to your point, something like a wellness stipend is something that always has traction in our benefits survey and is something we've just not been in a position to do in the past. But we may be able to leverage this change to bring that into reality.
Wow, I asked a fairly straightforward, simple question. You gave me a very total answer. Thank you very much, Sharon.
Pleasure.
Mr. DeLue.
Yeah, I think you may have used a bad choice of words strictly for cosmetic reasons. I think I know people that have been on this, and it's just been a tremendous life change, not just physically, but mentally. Makes happier employees. I mean, less visits to the chiropractor, less back problems, less, and you don't know what prescription drugs they'd be on if they continue to either maintain their weight or actually increase that weight. And when I look at the survey and I see 44, almost 45% want it to keep it, and then 23% don't care. To me, that's 2/3 that are like, yeah, let's keep it, compared to the 40% who want lower insurance costs. But I understand it's expensive. Vice Chair always talks about we're here for the employees, and I guess it's just my opinion at this point. It's well worth the money. Thank you.
Okay, I very much appreciate Commissioner DeLue's comments. I do want to be here for the employees. Part of that is I want to make sure that we are able to give a cost of living increase to employees. If we're going to be spending 10, 15%, 10% more on our healthcare, that really limits our ability to do things like whether it's RX kids or whatever we else money back into the community. This is $1.5 million a year, and it's going up by about 15 to 20%. And we're the only ones that do it. I mean, those are like boom, 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 3 red flags. So that's where I'm at. I do think that we need to do some sort of supplemental to replace this, whether it be hiring 10 nutritionists, giving everybody a free bike, that would be cheaper. Just the amount of dollars that we're spending, it's hard to fathom and comprehend that 20% of all of our prescription costs are going to one prescription. And I agree that if it's any sort of diabetic, if there's any sort of reason that a doctor is prescribing this, other than I want to lose 20 pounds for my daughter's wedding, then I think that we should do that. But we shouldn't be supplementing at $1.5 million a year a prescription that is not necessarily prescribed by a doctor. Thank you.
I I appreciate that. May I offer one other thing? I will simply say that I think that when it comes to employee sentiment, some of the details you all are pointing out is part of what makes it really hard to capture in one question. I think that the question, would they rather have $1,500 or coverage, is a different question than, do you think we should keep covering it, in a vacuum of the survey? So I think it's really difficult in looking through the survey results from the employees. Obviously, I think we all know cost is a huge motivator for everyone. There's really not anyone who's like, plenty of money for insurance, no problem. So the cost is a real factor. And we did hear from people quite a bit last year about the significant increase. And there was a lot of negative feedback about that. I think what's difficult is measuring all of the different factors. So things like, what are the other costs of folks who don't lose weight, and what cost does that bring to the plan, as well as deciding for the doctor whether or not you need it. But to be clear, to eliminate these would be for only presenting with anti-obesity as the diagnosis. There'd be no comorbidities. So that's the fancy word for things like having another condition at the same time. And those would still be covered through the plan. This would be for simply obesity only treatment. And I think that if it is in the board's desire, I would be happy to try to get some more feedback, more specific dialed in questions from the employees for actual real life scenarios. If your premium was going to be this or that, does it change? And part of my question for you today is, what else would you like me to give you to be able to make this decision and make a recommendation to us, so that we can go forward and message appropriately to the employees if there's going to be a change, and fully form the budget as well and bring you the recommendation for next year.
Are there thoughts from commissioners, if we were to change or ask the HR director what kind of benefits we'd replace that with? Is that kind of the gist of it? I know Dale and I we're the only ones that spoke on which way we feel on this. Are there any other commissioners that want to put their, Commissioner Gessler?
Put our oar in the water, so to speak. Well, it's interesting that you and Dale are on opposite sides of this. Because you're the two most lean and mean guys at the dais here. You know, I just hope I don't qualify for diabetic attention at some point. But I disregard with great vigor the comments made by two really slim, mean kind of guys. Thank you.
Commissioner Wheeler.
Thank you, Chair. I think narrowing the question would be beneficial. I mean, I think just giving employees the facts like, hey, this will make your premium lower, is that your motivator? Having, you know, to see the whole, it's hard to see the whole picture, but that's the reality, is that if we do take GLP-1s off, your premium won't go up as much. I think that's a really important question versus just, should we still cover it? I think that narrowing in that way is going to really be what employees care about.
Director, if the premiums go up, the premiums would go up for the employees at the 20% level, and it would go up for us at the 80% level, correct?
That's correct. To be all the way clear, we don't actually pay that 80% to anyone on behalf of the county, but it is the charge to our plan. It's an estimated illustrative rate. In the end, what we pay is the actual cost of the medical care, but it's a way for us to budget appropriately based on the trend lines in our spending.
Well, do you have enough direction, or do you want more?
I would like to bring back to you a resolution at the next meeting, if I could, that would be a vote up or down for you all to say yes, continue coverage, or no, not. I think that's the explicit answer I'm looking for. I'd be happy to bring that next time.
This is just my gut telling me. I don't think this board would vote to eliminate it if there was no replacement, or what that replacement would be. How much of that 1.5 million are we going to replace? If we could hire 2 nutritionists for $200,000 in-house at the county, or we could do gym memberships for, you know, $60 a month for every employee, or whatever. I'm just speaking off the top of my head here. Or life savings accounts or health savings accounts, whatever it is. I don't know, but I think there would need to be some sort of replacement. Am I wrong here that there would need to be some sort of replacement if we were going to eliminate that benefit? We'd probably look for a less costly benefit that wasn't growing at 20% a year.
Of course, I hate to keep adding work, but if you offer gym memberships, in my experience, one of the places I've worked anyway, how many would actually, I guess, how many are willing to commit to using it? You know, that's another question too. Like if we offer gym memberships, will you use it? That type of thing. Because I haven't had a good experience with fellow employees actually utilizing the benefit of a gym membership.
Absolutely. I'll say on that, one of the things I have heard, and I'm not going to pretend we have done a deep dive into what it would look like to operationalize a program like that, but there are a couple of factors. One is if we chose a gym in particular to say everyone can have a membership here, that would ease our administrative burden in some ways of being able to monitor if people are using it. You've probably heard of the programs where you have to go twice a month or something like that to maintain their membership. But the challenge with that, as I understand it from the county's philosophy, is the question about putting your thumb on the scale and picking one gym to get the county's whole business. So that's one challenge to that approach. If we instead did a stipend, I think you've nailed the problem there is how do we verify or monitor that it is being used as designed rather than people pocketing $60 a month for a gym membership but not ever going or not even having a membership. And if we're paying the membership directly, administratively, that becomes quite a burden if it's to any gym you could think of. So I think there are some operational concerns with trying to figure out how to operationalize that. So just off the cuff, I will say something that looks like a simple stipend that is meant for wellness and could perhaps be deposited into an FSA or HSA might be one way to get around that. But I'll be honest, it's got some headaches about how to operationalize it. And so it's going to take a little doing. I probably won't have a good plan for you of that in 2 weeks, but I could offer you a couple options that we could explore.
Could you use it, like you mentioned an HSA with reimbursement policy? Or is that you could pay for it, we'd reimburse into the HSA with a receipt, that type of thing? Or is that even?
There would be ways to make that happen. We have a third-party administrator for our HSAs who manage the approval of bills. So I would need to get familiar with what they're willing to do and how much we would have to do in-house. I don't have that information today.
Okay, I guess the answer is come back with options of what we'll replace it with before we vote to get rid of it.
All right. Would you appreciate me bringing both the resolution and the options to the same meeting, or to bring one first and hold off on the resolution?
I think it would be best to bring them both to the same meeting. That way people will know.
Beautiful.
You get what you pay for instead of paying first and get it later.
I like that. I also like moving towards a decision quicker so we can tell our employees. So I'm on board. I will bring that back to you in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on is corporate counsel, discussion of potential amendments to the board's bylaws and rules of procedure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. As the members of this body are aware, Corporation Counsel's Office has undertaken an omnibus approach to amending and revising the bylaws and rules of procedures of the Board of Commissioners. Part of doing this is that the bylaws serve as the foundation for other policies which the Kalamazoo County government is, governed by. And so we thought we'd start with the bylaws first, and then over the course of the next 6 months, we will visit and review the policies, including the FOIA policy, which was a moment of contention, if you will. But part of the thing that we hope to do with these revisions is to bring them in accord with what the present state of the law is, as well as other the codification of some of your practices already. If I may, sir, the first one, and I'd like to thank Commissioner Gessler for bringing this to my attention, as that was an oversight on my part, regards section 1.1 and 1.4. We will correct the wording to speak to 4-year terms. Right now, it still has the 2-year terms. Next is the 4.4H, and this would be an amendment to your agenda. What this would involve is that it would allow for public comment for items listed on the agenda, meaning that if people are waiting to speak on an item which you may be considering at that meeting, they'll have an opportunity to express what their concerns and questions to you. And also this will help them manage their time as well, so they don't have to wait for the whole meeting if they have other things to do with their children, their family, or whatever. Next is item is section 4.4J, resolutions. What we like to do is to put all the resolutions in one place for the body when they're considering them on the regular meeting agenda. Excuse me. So this way, the body as well as the public is aware that these are resolutions because this body acts through ordinances and through resolutions. So every action item in that regard will be in one section. Next is 4.4M, and that just provides public comment in general so that the public has an opportunity to speak to the body on anything, about anything that they wish to. We've also added live streaming availability. And this is really a codification of what your practice is already in terms of the YouTube broadcast. Next is, and that would be a new section, 4.6.1. Next would be 4.8, remote participation. Again, this codifies what we already do under MCL, under the Open Meetings Act, regarding not being able to attend for medical reasons or military reasons. So we simply place that into your bylaws. And then at 6.6A and B, in regards to conflict of interest statements, the body just updated its conflict of interest statements, and this provides for the timing of when those are to be submitted. And then last, and I need to look at this one, forgive me, please. Oh, yes. Again, it mentions, it speaks to public participation, and then it just adds the language of public comments for items listed on the agenda and public comment general. Again, these are the recommendations of Corporation Council, and we did receive feedback, and we've incorporated those that we thought were appropriate for this body. And I'm open for questions. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner DeLue.
Well, I have two questions. First of all, on the information we got under 5.1 under Article 5 bodies, it's in yellow. Is that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I wanted to add that back in. There was an understanding, and I'd like to redo that because I believe that it speaks to advisory bodies. When they're speaking to bodies, I didn't know what the bodies were at that time. So if there was a report from one of your advisory bodies, that would be included in that section.
If I may, the second one, 6.2C. I think that's what I eliminated. No, I'm sorry. That's not right. 6. Under Code of Ethics. Where's the about the agenda? I thought it was 6.2C. Oh boy, I just had it. I'm sorry, it's 5.5. Committee of the whole agenda. No, committee of the whole. Well, I had it on my screen and I did something. It said on the agenda, like basically we had to read the agenda, which I think we've kind of done away with here. I'm sorry, Chair. I've lost my spot.
No worries. I can come back to you. That's got a couple questions myself. Okay, well, he's looking real quick. The 4.8, the remote participation, that's in complete accordance with state rules?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This body adopted that policy last year in regards to when Commissioner Morales was out, but she couldn't physically come here, but she was still able to participate. So that's when we came up with that policy.
Okay, so it's in concurrence with state law.
Yes, sir. If I may, sir. And that's why it's only for medical reasons or military service. Thank you.
Chair, if I may, 6.20C. Says a commissioner shall announce the items on the consent agenda of the County Board of Commissioners to be considered on the consent agenda. And those items that are not announced shall be considered separately. Now, to me, that indicates we
Could you repeat that number, please?
6.20 under consent agenda.
Miss, are you looking at the copy that was provided? Oh, 6.20. 6.20. I'm sorry. Yeah, my apologies. Thank you. We will make a correction to that. This body did agree earlier that the reading of the consent agenda is something that it was no longer do, as that the agenda is published prior to the meeting. Thank you, sir.
And we're not voting on this tonight, obviously.
Oh,
correct?
no, sir. This is just on for discussion purposes.
Okay, and I guess I've got a question. What was the impetus to this?
There were, as we were going through things and we would look at different things, we noticed that there were things that were not updated. And then, like with the promote participation, although the body did approve that, it was never put into your bylaws. So that's why I wanted to take an omnibus approach so that we get it all cleaned up to move forward, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we'll get a final red line version of everything because there's 6.2 is what I'm going through, professional conduct. Was that in the A through Z or A through O? Was that in the previous bylaws?
Yes, sir. 6.2. Yes, sir. There were no changes. No, sir. All my office's recommended changes were in red. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there is something else that you would like to see added, if you could just let us know and we will research it to make sure that it's doable, first of all. And then we can add that in before the body takes it up in final form.
And I apologize. I've only gone, it's a long document. I've spent about 45 minutes on it, but I've gotten about 2/3 the way through. So I'll have any changes to your office before our next meeting or potential.
Thank you very much, sir.
Any other, Commissioner Gissler?
Thank you, John. Lou, I take my hat off to you for undertaking this project. You've already convinced me that it is necessary and we should be doing it. And I also want to tell you that reviewing bylaws is probably one of my most favorite things. Thank you.
Well, we're going to start a bylaws committee and you're going to be the chair, Commissioner Gissler.
We're in real trouble.
All right, any other comments from commissioners? Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Commissioner Wheeler, do you have a motion for us?
I do. Thank you, Chair. I move that the board, I move that the Board of Commissioners go into a closed session with the Sergeants Association pursuant to MCL 15.268C.
Is a motion and support. Can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Mazer, Commissioner Morales, Commissioner Ray.
Yes.
Chair Strebs, Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gissler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. 5 yes.
Thank you. Wait, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. I'd just like to inform the public who may be watching and said that a closed session requires a supermajority. However, there are certain exceptions where a supermajority is not required, and this is one of them. Thank you, sir.
Just a supermajority of the majority, correct?
Of the entire body.
I'd like to make a motion to go back into, or to come out of closed session.
We are back in session. Mr. Wheeler,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the closed session minutes.
motion moved and supported. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned till the regular meeting at 6:30.
birthday, anniversary, Christmas, whatever. I got more of these. I've been writing to go like Brian. Brilliantly right. I need more of these.
All right, I'm going to call the July 21st, 2026 Board of Commissioners regular board meeting to order. And first on the agenda is our invocation reflection. Commissioner Wheeler.
Thank you, Chair. Let me grab my notes here. There's no need to stand. Let us begin by acknowledging the importance of this gathering, and may we strive to create a space where everyone feels valued and heard. May we approach the task at hand with open minds and hearts and seek to understand and learn from one another. And if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, thank you. Roll call, clerk.
Commissioner Morales. Commissioner Ray. Chair Strebs. Vice Chair Taylor.
Here.
Commissioner Wheeler.
Here.
Commissioner DeLu. Commissioner Gisler.
Here.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler. Commissioner Mazer. You have 6 present.
All right, thank you. Next we have proclamations. I see none on our agenda. Followed by communications. We have a monthly financial report from Director Post. I'd encourage all commissioners to go through that. It's good information. Notice for hearing for the electric customers of Indiana Michigan Power Company, case number U-22028. Continuum of Care Winter Solutions final report. Continuum of Care Winter Solutions final report, and a resolution from Washtenaw County allocating funds to Planned Parenthood of Michigan. Is there any other communications from commissioners? All right, next is the approval of minutes. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the July 7th, 2026 draft committee of the whole and regular meeting minutes.
So moved.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Is this a roll call vote, clerk? Nope. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? The motion carries. Next, we have the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Approval is moved and supported. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, that math passes. Next is presentations. There is none on our agenda right now. Then public hearings, of which there are none on our agenda right now. This takes us into public comment. Please give us any members of the public wishing to address the board. Give us your name, where you're from, and you have up to 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Rhonda Walters. I live at 12480 South 18th Street in Vicksburg. These comments are based on the issues with the road commission and their intent to remove thousands of trees from our county. So I'm proposing that they would make a more incremental approach to deal with the roadside trees. Their own studies show that rumble strips significantly reduce numbers of crashes. So why wouldn't you begin with rumble strips before embarking on a clear cutting campaign? Why would you completely omit the rumble strips for special interest groups? Are we not looking to improve safety for automobile drivers? If rumble strips are inconvenient for a few, then they could take a different route. After all, a road deemed so hazardous as to make it necessary to clear cut, then those are routes to be avoided for their safety. Wouldn't an incremental approach, such as starting with cleanup of dead trees, then the hazardous ones could be dealt with more quickly, and then go back and take out any other trees? The tree work you propose is going to be extremely hazardous and inconvenient for motorists. However, how many 80-year-old trees can you remove in a day? Many areas along U Avenue would take many days of road closures, perhaps weeks. I don't know whether you are selling the tree trunks, but if you are, then that would still leave the branches and crowns. What kind of mess and danger will that be left beside the roads, and for how long? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rob Morrison. I'm at 5188 Green Meadow Road in Oshtemo Township. Our planning commission is drafting a revised energy ordinance to include a battery energy storage system. A developer has leased a site in a rural residential area in close proximity to a farm and residences. The site is on shallow permeable land on the west boundary of the township. There are groundwater, wetlands, and sensitive environmental areas that are by that site that really affect Kalamazoo County and also Almena Township. Recently, the Michigan Supreme Court ruled on a lawsuit brought by 79 townships against the Michigan Public Services Commission. The lawsuit argued that the MPSC illegally rewrote PA 233, the Renewable Energy Siting Act, going beyond legislative intent in specific areas, and the court agreed most significantly that all local governments are affected local units. Last week, Eagle started approving permits for the Line 5 tunnel, claiming that the tunnel's need outweighed public interest and acknowledged there will be significant impacts. Local voices and local decisions where it concerns our ability to live sustainably are being overridden by wealthy interests, and there is no rule of law where established environmental protections already exist. In light of the state's failure to protect our natural resources, despite overwhelming scientific evidence, I am asking the commission to take a more active role in helping townships protect their land and water from proven environmentally destructive technologies, such as lithium-ion batteries that have a propensity to catch fire with devastating consequences. Energy resources are a large and complex system local communities have had to tackle on their own and are now collaborating and sharing resources. The Environmental Concerns Committee is one unit that could take this on and help the county share resources and strategies. This committee did not meet this month and is scheduled to meet in August, where I will attend to make the same request. I believe a collaborative effort is necessary to protect our health, water, food, and I appreciate you hearing my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens wishing to address the board? Seeing none, do we have anybody online? All right. Well, that moves us into our consent agenda. Commissioner Wheeler, do you have a motion ready?
I do, thank you, Chair. I move that the consent agenda items be voted on at one time by a roll call vote and be considered as a consent agenda by the board.
There's a motion moved and supported. Clerk, will you please take roll?
Commissioner Mazer? Commissioner Morales? Yes. Commissioner Ray? Yes. Chair Strebs? Vice Chair Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler?
Yes.
Commissioner DeLue?
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler?
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler? 6 yes.
All right, that motion passes unanimously. Next is unfinished business and general orders. First, we have a request for approval of a resolution in support of the additional 9th Circuit Court Judge and 8th District Court Judge. The chair will entertain a motion. So moved. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? This is an important step, and thank you to Representative Rogers for bringing this to our attention and fighting for us on behalf in Lansing. It's desperately needed. It might take a little while to get there, but we do need another judge, 2 more judges. It's a roll call vote, correct?
Commissioner Morales?
Yes.
Commissioner Ray?
Yes.
Chair Strebs? Vice Chair Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler?
Yes.
Commissioner DeLue?
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler?
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler? Commissioner Mazer? 6 yes.
All right, that motion passes. Next, we have a request for approval of a resolution accepting a recommendation from the Gun Violence Prevention Ad Hoc Committee, ARPA. Commissioner Ray, do you want to make this motion? Do you have the exact language?
Sure, I'm assuming the motion is what's written here, and we just need to add the language, correct, Dr. Kelly?
That would be for the companion motion. So this is just the motion approving the ad hoc committee's recommendation to create that fund is what this specific action is for.
Okay, so I'll move that motion.
Support.
Motion moved and supported for the creation of the fund. Yep, I see it now. Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, will you please take roll?
Commissioner Ray,
Yes.
Chair Strebs, Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler,
No,
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, Commissioner Mazer, Commissioner Morales. 5 yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Next, we have a request for approval to authorize board leadership to engage chief judges regarding proposed court administrator employment agreements. NN? Oh, gosh, you're right. I went to new business. I apologize. We have a request for approval of a resolution authorizing negotiation and execution of a gun violence prevention and intervention field of interest fund agreement, ARPA. Any discussion? I will just say that the reason I supported the last motion was because we're using a field of interest fund, and I think it gives us some more flexibility to raise money into that. Dr. Catlin, you could probably speak way better at this than I could.
No, well, I was debating with Commissioner Ray on. So, okay, so there's just a couple of or a few things that needs to happen for this resolution to be finalized this evening. The first one that needs to happen is that the board needs to decide on a fund name through the Kalamazoo Community Foundation. And then what I have already provided Commissioner Ray was the description for the purpose of the fund that will be incorporated into the resolution. And then finally, the board needs to decide, because there was a desire to have some input from the Board of Commissioners in the allocation process from the fund. So the board needs to decide who from the board, and if not from the board, it can be other community members too, but up to 3 folks that can serve on that advisory committee that will decide on how the funds are dispersed from year to year. So there's 3 requests: fund name, the purpose of the fund, and then up to 3 individuals you'd like to appoint to that advisory body. So that way the clerk can record those and incorporate that into the final resolution.
Okay, you said year to year, but this was a one-time funding source we did, but it does allow the opportunity to fundraise from private.
That's correct, Chair. So this fund allows the board to continue to infuse it with money from year to year, and it will continue to grow. It'll be invested at the KZCF. So there'll be an actual spendable balance that the fund can allocate dollars to support certain programs, victims, that kind of thing.
Okay. Commissioner Ray.
Thank you, Chair. Now, I didn't know we had to name the fund today, but I do have the suggested purpose of the fund. If that needs to be read into the record, I can read that. And then also, of the 3 folks that we select to serve, I want to volunteer to serve. And then so I'll read it: to provide support to nonprofit organizations that provide services across Kalamazoo County for those individuals and families impacted by gun violence. This could include such services as violence prevention, intervention, youth engagement, victim support, and other initiatives designed to reduce the occurrence and impacts of gun violence throughout Kalamazoo County. Supported agencies could include Griffin Place, Urban Alliance, ISK, Moms Demand Action, and others. This list is not exhaustive.
Commissioner Morales.
I would support serving on the committee as well.
Commissioner Ray, Commissioner Morales, and Commissioner Gisler have expressed interest, and the reason I want the 3 up there is because I think there's 2 people that really support this, and 1 person I think that could be brought on to support this. So I think those three would be a really good representative of the board. If that's okay, Dr. Callen? Okay. Now we have to name a name of it, right?
That's right.
I say in the honor of Commissioner Hepler's absence, we call it the Live, Work, and Play Fund. Commissioner Morales.
Can we table it and think about it? Or we have to have a name tonight?
The Kalamazoo Community Foundation would rather have the name, tonight, so that way they can begin the creation of the documents, the governing documents for the fund.
Okay.
Stay Safe Fund? Safe Kalamazoo. I am throwing wet noodles against the wall.
Does it have to, can we do it at, I'm sorry,
Go ahead, Commissioner Morales.
can we have a moment to think about it? Like, and go through the meeting and then come back to it? Okay, give us a moment, because just throwing a name out there.
Okay, this is a corporate council, so is it okay just to table this till the end of the meeting?
Yes, sir. The maker of the motion can make that request.
Okay, there is a motion to table this till the end of this meeting, or before members' time, or before reports of bodies, administrator, controller. How about that? And then we have public comment, and then somebody from the audience can come up with a name for us. Okay, the motion is to table this till after public comment. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, is there a support? Motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Oppose? Motion carries. This will be tabled till after we have an opportunity for the public to give us a name. Okay. Next, we have new business non-consent. Oh, is there any other unfinished business general orders, Commissioners Newell? No. Okay, next, new business non-consent. We have a request for approval of funding for a pilot hair care service program for residents lodged at the Kalamazoo County Jail. The chair will entertain such motion. It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? Commissioner Wheeler.
I'll just reiterate that I think that this is a really great step in the right direction to provide dignity to those who are incarcerated.
I would concur with that statement, as well as usually there's a lot bigger price tag associated with what we're trying to do, help out. This is a very small price tag, so I'm in support of this as well. Seeing no other discussions, clerk, will you please take roll?
Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLu,
Yes.
Commissioner Gisler,
Not needing haircuts often myself, I don't want to deprive anybody else of getting them. Thank you. Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, Commissioner Mazer, Commissioner Morales, Commissioner Ray, Chair Strips, 6 yes.
Okay, next we have, Chair will entertain a motion for request for approval to authorize an allocation up to $250,000 in funding to the United Way South Central Michigan Continuum of Care to support a Winter Solutions RFP. Okay, there's motion and support. Is there any discussion? Commissioner Ray.
Thank you, Chair. I just have a question. Do we have an opportunity for somebody from our board to sit on the committee that reviews the applications and ultimately makes the decisions?
Looks like Lindy Smith is gonna direct, Deputy Director Administrator Smith.
Thank you. So right now, how we have set it up in the past, and we can always go back and inquire with the COC board, but that the funds would be determined, the awards would be determined by the COC board. Right now, we do have Chair Straps that sits on that board as a commissioner representative.
Okay. Any other discussion? Commissioner Wheeler.
Thank you. I know that they come back and ask us for this most years. Is this gonna be a budget item from now on, or is it already?
That is actually, I'm glad that you brought that up because that's one item that I did discuss last meeting, but failed to actually include that in the discussion for tonight's meeting. So that was highlighted on here that we would like to have some sort of direction of how y'all would like us to budget it. I know that was a lot of the conversation last time that it seemed to be a desire to have it budgeted in the fiscal year 27, but we do still need direction from the board on what that amount would be and also the budget you'd like to see that in. That also does not need to be determined tonight. That can be determined during the budget process and with the budget retreat too.
I will be supporting this because it says up to, and I would like to tell administration that that doesn't mean you need to spend the full $250,000, just FYI. If they come up with a plan that makes sense and it doesn't come to that full 250, say it comes to 210, and there's some other program that went through the continuum of care that doesn't have the ability to get funded through that vehicle, we still have that difference of the 250 to do our own private project. But yes, I will be supporting this motion because it says up to, making sure that you guys know it's not, you have to get to 250.
I will say too, I believe all of the language from the other potential funders have included the up to as well. And that will be something that as that RFP gets released, we'll be talking with the COC of how that gets released. But I believe everyone else has included similar language. I do just want to point out too, the direction that we do need to know tonight is what funding, what budget needs to come from. So the two things we talked about last time that y'all wanted a little bit of time to think on was the golden ratio board priorities bucket or the housing millage bucket. So just needing some direction on that as well.
Are we using the 4.9 million for the golden ratio? We're not using the 5.1, we're using the 4.9. Okay. Commissioner Ray.
Excuse me. Of that 4.9, how much is ours?
1.5.
So we don't actually know how much we have left in the housing millage fund for this year, correct? Director Balcom.
What about 50-50?
So I think like either buckets of funding has the funding available. So that's the good news there. I think this just comes down to the strategy. So 50-50 could be a strategy that y'all could pursue. I think what I've heard in some of the conversations is that y'all would like us to approach others to be contributing partners in the winter solutions to expand, maybe to see if other municipalities could chime in and things like that. With that in mind, I think some could argue it be a strong move to show that that was coming out of board priorities from the golden ratio, showing that the board is making that direct commitment to unhoused initiatives in collaboration with others. There may be, if it comes from the housing millage, there may be some pushback in that's already a housing millage where we're already contributing to. So we're already contributing to this initiative. So those are just maybe two strategies to consider as y'all are deciding between the funding.
We also have in our budget, our amended budget here through June, we budgeted $723,000 in contingencies, and we spent $51,786. Is there an earmark for that last $650? There is. And I noticed, and I appreciate this, the restricted reserve went down to like a couple $1,000 from 700. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then the strategic issues we do have planned for the 192 that we've got still in there.
Chair, yeah, so so there are some commissioners want to know what some of that funding is for the contingencies a very large portion, if you recall, is to pay for the parental, what is it? The paternity establishments out of that the prosecutor's office relinquished back to the state. They have touched base with the Corporation Council, and that bill is coming due. So a big portion of that is reserved for that purpose. Hopefully that answers your questions.
And we also are about 10% underspent halfway through the year on our Board of Commissioners budget as well. I hate, that's like the worst place I'd like to take it from but there's a couple different options, but I've got no problem taking it from, the golden ratio fund. I guess I'd like to look at everything that's getting asked to be taken out of that before we start like piecemealing it piece by piece by piece. So if all the things would come at the same time, it would be easier as a board. That being said, we do have to find and identify a source. We just got our audit comment. This is one time, and I certainly wouldn't recommend doing this on a regular basis. And Ryan's not in the audience, so he won't yell at me. But unrestricted on account and fund balance, we could use that. That might make a nightmare in the budgeting process. But those are all that's 3 or 4 different options, but it is the will of this board. I would rely heavily on recommendations from our administration that say it should be from one of those 2 buckets. That being said, I'm leaning towards a 50-50 split. But those are my thoughts on this. Commissioner Wheeler.
Thank you, Chair. I think Deputy Administrator Smith makes a really good point, especially when we're going to ask our community partners to pitch in. I think it should come out of board priorities, personally.
Commissioner DeLue.
Thank you, Chair. I asked at the last meeting if it could come out of housing millage, and I was advised it could, and I totally support that. I think that's what the housing millage is for, and I know she may have cited it as a negative, but everybody in Kalamazoo County contributes to the housing millage, so basically everybody's contributing to the program. So that's my request.
Okay, so we got 1 50-50, 1 housing, and 1 board priorities. Commissioner Ray.
So I just feel like I'm kind of torn. As far as like the housing millage, I want to see us open up the portal for community to be able to apply. And I feel like we've made a lot of allocations without coming through the process, if you will, through the housing ad hoc committee. We've already done a lot of things without it going through the process, and this hasn't gone through the process. But I also feel really committed to being able to do community grants again. So I don't know if this has to come out of there or takes from that if we commit from the commissioner's budget. Do we have to make this decision now, or is this something we can have other budget discussions first and then make this decision?
Yeah, that's a great question, Commissioner Ray. So Chair, Commissioners, I believe, when the contract comes back, that decision could be made then. As long as we have kind of a sense that the board does want to go through with this, we can at least inform the COC. The board is committed to supporting winter solutions. The funding we can figure out the source a little bit later. So we have some time. We just want to be able to tell them that we have and that we are committed, so that way they can start the RFP process and we're not behind the 8 ball on this.
Just excuse me, one more question. When we say up to $250,000, how do we determine at what level? Because I know they can use the whole $250,000, but if we get commitments from other municipalities, do we say, oh, we're only giving 100,000 because they gave this? Is there like a cap? Are we trying to meet a specific goal of like 500,000 and we just see what we can collect? What are we doing with that up to amount?
I think at minimum, our goal is to try to maintain that $700,000 budget that we had last year. This will only be our 2nd year. And although we have seen significant contributions, largely because of this board, we have the landing place online. Therefore, we're not needing as much of a family shelter. Now, we still may need some family sheltering next year. the landing place is, close to being full. So even though we've addressed families, this board has addressed families, that still may be a need come winter. This board has also addressed medical respite. There still may be a need come this winter. So we would like to at least maintain the 700,000. With that said, we do know that the city of Kalamazoo, their up to budget is pretty significant. It's, I believe in the bar, in the brief, I have it at 497,000. So they do have a pretty significant budget, but they're also looking at things too and looking at that up to language. So to, in a long way, answer your question, I apologize. I think what we'll look at is when the RFP goes out to see what type of applications come in, and to evaluate what we anticipate the need being. If we're having to look at for extreme weather, maybe ramping up to hoteling. I'm not saying we would, but that usually costs a lot more. And so that might be something that we're going to be weighing. But from this conversations with the COC, they had indicated they would like to at least stay at that 700,000.
It's basically the city of Kalamazoo, us, and then Continuum of Care puts in a very small amount, correct?
The Continuum of Care is deciding this, their board is deciding this week, but their language that they had put forward was up to 100,000.
That was significantly more than last year, was it not?
Yes. Also, I do want to just point out too that we are still waiting on the point in time count numbers to help also inform this decision too, which is why I think largely that up to language is being included.
And you're okay with us passing a resolution in support with commitment, but not identifying the funding source until 3 more commissioners get here?
As long as y'all are good with it. If y'all are good with it, we will let the COC know that we're good for up to 250. Their intent is to try to release that RFP by the end of July, early August, just so that y'all are aware.
You can let them know we have a lot of mattresses to dig under. So, okay, so chair would entertain a motion with the suggested purpose of fund. Wait, no, that's not it. I'm sorry.
I can make a motion if you'd like to.
Commissioner Wheeler, please.
I'll make a motion to approve, to authorize an allocation of up to $250,000 in funding to the United Way of South Central Michigan Continuum of Care to support a Winter Solutions RFP.
Discussion. Oh, did we need a new motion now that we didn't identify the funding source? We did not. Okay, then I guess thank you, Commissioner Wheeler. We didn't need it. We were still operating under the original motion by Commissioner Ray. Any more discussion? Yeah, Commissioner Gissler.
Yes, do we need to define winter? Sometimes winter needs don't always fall within the 3-month period that is designated on the calendar as winter. Maybe we need to be more precise or conceivably less precise.
That's actually a pretty decent point.
So we're
Commissioner.
I can answer that question. So we are actually defining it as the contracts would be defined as November 1 through March 31. We may be looking at that language of extending into April potentially to taper down services, but right now we're looking for November 1 through March 31, which is consistent to what we did this past winter.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? Seeing no other discussion, clerk, will you please take roll? Council. That's right, because we're not allocating we're not telling where the money goes, or the money's from. I'm going to take a roll call just to be sure. Okay, clerk.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLue,
Yes.
Commissioner Gissler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, Commissioner Mazer, Commissioner Morales,
Yes.
Commissioner Ray,
Yes.
Chair Strebs, Vice Chair Taylor.
Yes.
6 yes.
Right, thank you very much. That motion passes. Next, we have a request for approval to authorize board leadership to engage chief judges regarding proposed court administrator employment agreements. And this is kind of one I asked administration for to put on the agenda because I don't feel comfortable unless you guys give me the authority or Chair Strebs and Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler the authority. I just feel more comfortable negotiating if I'm given the authority from the board as opposed to doing it out of the leadership capacity. Now, the reason this is happening is there are, how much can I say? I'm going to let Dr. Catlin do this because I don't want to violate some labor laws or anything.
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. So this evening, what's before you is just a motion to authorize, again, board leadership to negotiate and just have a conversation with the chief judges regarding proposed court administrator employment agreements. And the sheer fact of it is, or the mere fact of it is rather, is that, court administrators are appointed directly by chief judges that are elected, one by the general public on a 6-year term, but then they're elected internally as the chief judge every 2 years, and they serve at the behest of the chief judge solely. So unlike my position where I report to the 9-member elected body, they report directly to the chief judge and serve at their behest. And every 2 years, their job is, in a sense, it can be compromised, and so they would like some of that protection built in so that a new chief judge just can't come in and just wipe them out. And if they do wipe them out and terminate their employment for no cause, there would be some protection built in against that. So that's really the fact of the matter. And board leadership is seeking direction or seeking approval rather to meet with the chief judges to have further discussions, to then come back to this body, report out on those findings, and the chief judges and court administrators will likely be present, and then for the board to deliberate, make a decision moving forward.
And I think it's a reasonable request. However, it's bargaining. I mean, it's basically in the elementary sense, it's the board is bargaining with this and to try to come up with the contract. And I didn't feel comfortable doing it as the vice chair of the county commission without the authority of the body giving me that approval. So that's why if the board wants to do it and wants to do it as an ad hoc committee and meet with these judges, that's fine. Or Jeff and I can do it. That's fine as well. But I think it needs to be a decision by this full board to make as opposed to just leadership.
Discussing, or has to be a motion?
I thought there was already a motion. Was there not a motion? Okay, the chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved and supported. Now discussion. I apologize. Thank you, Commissioner DeLue. Commissioner DeLue.
Just a question. I'm fine with it as long as the three of you feel comfortable doing it. I don't know if there was somebody else you'd rather have than the.
Oh, no, we're not approving this. We're negotiating and bringing it back to the full board. The full board has to give their yay or nay. It's just us going in and coming up with what the deal could look
No,
like.
as long as you feel comfortable in even those discussions with the three of you, as opposed to having somebody else there, I'm fine with it.
Commissioner Wheeler.
Thank you, Chair. That's what I was going to say, is that no matter what, this has to come back to the full board for approval. And so, I mean, if we decide we don't like what occurred, we can always go back to the drawing board. So I'm okay with it as, for that reason exactly.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, clerk, will you take roll, please?
Commissioner DeLue?
Yeah.
Commissioner Gisler?
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler? Commissioner Mazer? Commissioner Morales? Commissioner Ray?
Yes.
Chair Strebs? Vice Chair Taylor?
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler?
Yes.
You have 5 yes.
All right, that motion carries. Any other new business that commissioners have? Seeing none, next is public comment. This is an opportunity for public to address the Board of Commissioners. Please give us your name, where you're to go back to where.
Circle back, maybe.
Oh, no, yeah, we're gonna do it after public comment. So, and that's part of the reason, if anybody is in the public that would like to name a $250,000 gun violence safety, we are all open for ideas of the name of the fund. If you want to talk about anything else, please feel free to talk about anything else as well. But give us your name, where you're from, and you have up to 3 minutes. Thank you. Nobody wants to name a fund? Anybody online? Okay. Okay, we will close public, and this will bring us up. Go ahead.
I'd just like to, for the record, to reflect that members Mazer, Hepler, and Stribs were officially excused from this meeting.
Yes, they were.
Thank you.
Deputy Administrator Smith, are you doing citizens time?
I don't have a recommendation for the name, but I did just want to remind everyone that we do have the county fair coming up in 2 weeks, and that y'all should have at your chairs received some information, the flyer. We're really excited about it. Director Reckwitz will be back in 2 weeks at the next meeting and highlighting it and speaking more to it. But I just wanted to make sure and use this opportunity to make sure y'all saw that and also help us spread the word. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us out of public comment, and now we are back to the tabled motion. Doing this right? Yes, sir. Okay, now we're back to the tabled motion. I always look to the lawyer to keep me out of trouble. So we're back to a name. Does anybody have a name? Commissioner DeLue.
Well, kind of. I think I wanted to use the initials for Commissioner Gisler, Morales, and Ray. So it's GM, GRA, or GMA, or GRM. So the only thing I came up with was the gun reduction movement. But it doesn't really flow, but that's using your 3 initials. That's all I care about.
The Gun Reduction Movement Fund. Kalamazoo, Commissioner Ray.
That was very creative. I used the internet for some help, and I found Pathways to Peace Fund, investing in safer neighborhoods through prevention, intervention, and healing. I thought that was good.
I like Pathways to Peace. I think that's better than Stay Safe Kalamazoo. We're getting better the longer we go. Okay, so okay, we've got a motion for Path. Was it Path the Peace?
Just whoever makes the motion, please, the first line, I'd like to take from the table the motion and then go forward with it.
Okay.
Chair, may I? So I noticed in the packet that the incorrect resolution was made publicly available. I just noticed that we actually had made some revisions based on what the Kalamazoo Community Foundation wanted us to do tonight. So what I'd like to do, if this body is willing to allow me, is to read this resolution. That way that is read into the record. I can provide it to the clerk's office. There are just some things in here that changed based on the requirements that they needed, the fund name, the purpose of the fund, and the folks that are being named to that advisory committee.
I think that's a great idea. You name it, and then please somebody say so moved afterwards.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. I'll try my best. So this resolution, most of it is the same, but I just want to read it into the record so that way publicly we're just protected there. So the title is Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners, Resolution Number 2026-882. A resolution authorizing the county administrator controller to negotiate and execute an agreement with the Kalamazoo Community Foundation for the establishment of a gun violence prevention and intervention field of interest fund. Whereas the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners adopted Resolution 2026-880, accepting the recommendation of the Gun Violence Prevention Ad Hoc Committee and authorizing the allocation of $200,000 from ARPA project string ARPA 2022-2-00069-00214 for the establishment of a gun violence prevention and intervention field of interest fund. And whereas the Board of Commissioners has determined that partnering with the Kalamazoo Community Foundation provides an opportunity to create a sustainable funding mechanism dedicated to supporting gun violence prevention, intervention, youth engagement, restorative practices, victim services, trauma-informed programming, and other community-based public safety initiatives. And whereas the Kalamazoo Community Foundation has requested that the Board of Commissioners establish the proposed fund name, charitable purpose, and advisory committee framework to allow completion of the letter of direction necessary to establish the field of interest fund. And whereas the board desires to authorize the county administrator controller to negotiate and execute the necessary agreement and letter of direction consistent with the policy direction established herein, subject to approval as to form by Corporation Council, and now therefore it be resolved that the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the establishment of a field of interest fund with the Kalamazoo Community Foundation under the following proposed name, fund name Pathways to Peace. And be it further resolved that the Board of Commissioners establishes the following charitable purpose to be incorporated into the letter of direction. Purpose of the fund: to provide support to nonprofit organizations that provide services across Kalamazoo County for those individuals and families impacted by gun violence. This could include such services as violence prevention, intervention, youth engagement, victim support, and other initiatives designed to reduce the occurrence and impacts of gun violence throughout Kalamazoo County. Supported agencies could include Griffin Place, Urban Alliance, ISK, Moms to Man Action, and others. This list is illustrative and not exhaustive. And be it further resolved that the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners designates the following individuals to serve as the county's initial representatives on the advisory committee established in conjunction with the Kalamazoo Community Foundation, with the understanding that the committee shall serve in an advisory capacity only, and that the final grant-making authority shall remain with the Kalamazoo Community Foundation Board of Trustees. The representatives are Tammy Ray, County Commissioner, Montiz Morales, County Commissioner, and John Gisler, County Commissioner. And be it further resolved that the County Administrator Controller is authorized to negotiate and execute the necessary agreement, letter of direction, and any ancillary documents required to establish the field of interest fund, provided such documents are consistent with the policy direction established by this resolution and Resolution 2026-880, and are approved as to form by Corporation Council. And be it finally resolved that the County Administrative Controller is authorized to take all administrative actions necessary to implement this resolution and effectuate the establishment and administration of the Field of Interest Fund with the Kalamazoo Community Foundation. There we go.
All right, it was moved by Commissioner Ray, and thank you, Dr. Catlin, and supported by Commissioner Wheeler. Any discussion? All right, clerk, will you please take roll?
Commissioner Gisler,
Yes.
Vice Chair Pro Tem Hepler, Commissioner Mazer, Commissioner Morales.
Yes.
Commissioner Ray,
Yes.
Chair Strubs, Vice Chair Taylor,
Yes.
Commissioner Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner DeLuke.
Yes.
6 yes.
That motion carries. Okay, next we have reports of officers, bodies, administrators, controllers. I'll be quick. I know Chair Strebs wanted to be here. Stuff came up, but she will be here at the next meeting. Hopefully, I don't have to do this again. Yeah, and this is the second to last meeting for Dr. Catlin. So the last one, we've got to do something really special. So I've been in communication with some folks, but we've got the county fair. Deputy Director Smith has talked about this, and I'm just really proud at how much the fair has improved. And where we were 3 years ago and where we are now is night and day. Where we can go 3 years from now, it would be even better. But I'm never gonna kick progress. I think we have progress on this fair, and I'm proud of our administrative team working towards this, and Dave Rakowitz for working towards this. I think this was a step in the right direction. Our community has been asking us for it, and we're getting there. That being said, we've got a budget coming up, and we're going to have to make a lot of really tough choices. This isn't going to be like the last few budgets that we had. We're going to have to make some tough choices, and whether it's travel, training, cost of living, all these different things. I don't think one solution is going to be it. It's going to take a lot of little solutions to add up to the big picture. So I look forward to working with Dr. Catlin, with Deputy Administrator Smith and Cole, and getting our budget together so that we have a structural plan moving forward for the next 3 to 5 to 10 to 20 years. And I think this board is up to the challenge. It's going to take some work, and we're going to have to be in some meetings that we're going to miss some stuff. But if we put the work in, I think the citizens will be in a much better shape. So, Dr. Catlin.
I will also keep it very brief this evening. I appreciate the discussions, deliberations we had tonight. There's a lot of work that just happened there, and it was very exciting. Just want to remind the board and the public that we have a few special board meetings. So tomorrow actually is one beginning at 2:30 to continue discussions on the county's long-range financial planning and budget priorities. On Monday, July 27th, we also have a special board meeting beginning at 2 p.m. to also continue those same discussions. And then next week as well, on Wednesday, July 29th, is the board's budget retreat beginning at 10 a.m. at the Kalamazoo County Expo Center. So the first two meetings on July 22nd and the 27th will actually be in conference room 207A next door. And then we'll see you on the 29th out at the Expo Center. And that's all I have this evening, Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner DeLue.
Wow. Thank you. Gun reduction movement. No. Okay. Anyway, Commissioner Hepler is not here tonight, and in light of the happenings here in Kalamazoo County in the last 2 weeks involving law enforcement, I think we're very fortunate, and that especially when you read what actually happened the other day, that the deputy is extremely fortunate that he's alive, basically. And so, like Commissioner Hepler always says, thank those out there in uniform in law enforcement, the EMS, the firefighters, and because they do help make Kalamazoo County a great place to live, work, and play. So thank you.
Commissioner Gessler.
Thank you. I'll be very brief also. I just want to comment that having sat in with the Fair Council when it existed for a significant number of meetings, they've got two of the things headed up this year that I really like. I'm a big rodeo fan, and I certainly love elephant ears. Thank you.
Commissioner Morales.
I have nothing. I'm glad the officer is doing well. I heard that they were back at home. Surgery went well, so lifting that family up and hoping that he has a speedy recovery.
Commissioner Wheeler.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, ditto marks to that for that officer and his family. Just a reminder that you should make your plan to vote on August 4th is the election. And with that in mind, our next commission meeting is on August 5th, which is a Wednesday. So don't miss that. I almost didn't have it in my calendar right. So make your plan to vote and then come tune in to our meeting on August 5th. And I think that's all I have.
Thank you. And I would be remiss if I didn't thank all the clerks, especially the township clerks that are out there doing this. They are the unsung heroes of election season. So thank you. With that, we are adjourned.